How do we know that Mr. Krabs is actually a German fascist? Eugene Krabs was born as Eugene Krabs Schneider in 1942 in a town called Hamburg, Germany. The average crab becomes an adult 1 year after its birth, so in 1943, Mr. Krabs joined the Wehrmacht and served as a German soldier until 1944. From there on, Mr. Krabs would become a politician and even work with Adolf Hitler. But on April 30th, 1945, when Hitler was killed by Hitler, Mr. Krabs fled from the Führer bunker and escaped to an island in the Marshall Islands called Bikini Bottom. He then changed his name from Krabs Schneider to just simply Krabs. From there until 1967, Mr. Krabs tried to contact former fascist politicians to regroup and reform fascist Germany, but when no one answered for all those years, Mr. Krabs gave up. By 1972, Mr. Krabs had been in a deep depression for 5 years, so when Mr. Krabs found a rundown retirement home called the Rusty Crab in need of reform, Mr. Krabs bought it and renamed it to the Fascist Crab. The business tried to convince people to reform fascist Germany. Mr. Krabs spent $20,000 refinishing everything in the building, but in 1974, after receiving so much hate, he rebranded to the Krusty Krab, a fast food joint which boomed with so much popularity. From then on, Mr. Krabs had always thought of traveling back to Germany, but he never did. The Krusty Krab still runs on a fascist dictatorship to this day, with all the profits going into the dictator, Mr. Krabs' pockets. After an employee named Fish McP disagreed with Mr. Krabs' ways of running the restaurant, he was killed by an unknown assassin and it was never seen again. Mr. Krabs, being a rich dictator, paid off the Bikini Bottom police and has never had any issues again. And that's it. That's how we know that Mr. Krabs is actually a German fascist.